This is the governor of the Reserve Bank, Lesetja. So he's in Parliament. So what he's going to do is to explain. There were questions that were asked by the parliamentarians. So first of all, he's going to be talking about the Ithala. I think there's something about Ithala, investment, whatever. So he's going to explain about them not being licensed or anything like that, okay, not complying. And also he's going to get into other points like your interest rates. Why, you guys raise the interest rate sometimes, and why are you raising them? Is it because you are trying to maybe benefit other companies or anything? And also he's going to add some repo rate explaining. So it's going to be very informative. Please, if you are interested in that, please guys, you can watch the video, and also you can like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Thank you guys. Let's get into it and enjoy. Sharp of it.
India is going to deal with it. That's also, she said that they wouldn't qualify because it is a bank. And there's been this thing that we have withdrawn the license of Ithala. There is no license. There is nothing for us to withdraw. There is no license for us to withdraw. The Ithala was being regulated by exemption, and that is the problem in the configuration. It's regulated by exemption, which is basically from the banks. So they are taking deposits and they are not complying with the requirements of the Banks Act because they have got this exemption. And this exemption, I'm afraid, Chairperson, other people who sat in that chair, since the advent of democracy, had postponed dealing with that. And this extension was being extended and extended and extended. And I had worked in the National Treasury, and I have seen every Minister of Finance going along and says that, oh, we are going to deal with this, and all of them left it for their successors. And that is what we are basically faced with. It is this thing of a failure to acknowledge that you can't regulate by exemption. That is a problem. You can't regulate by exemption, and we have to deal with that. But yes, the thing about it is not the economics, it's the politics, and that's why I said I will not answer political questions, and so I leave it there. Honorable Tambo asked the question about our repo rate being relatively high, and I like the term relatively, because when you say relatively, you compare to something. I wanted to go back to this slide. And this slide shows the green line is Brazil. The red line is Colombia. The yellow line is Chile. You could see that up to 2023, all of them were higher than South Africa. All of them. Chile has since gone below South Africa and below India. Why? Because their inflation rate came low. Their inflation rate declined to closer to 2%, and so they could cut rates. So when we then benchmark monetary policy and we have to compare across countries, you cannot just compare what we call the nominal rates. You also have to see where is the inflation of that country relative to ours. So people in Turkey would believe that the repo rate in Turkey is relatively high. And they might be right that the repo rate is relatively high. And it's because their repo rate is 65%. But their repo rate is 65% because their inflation is 60%. And that is what they then face. And you could flip this thing and you could go and cross the Atlantic and look at Latin America, even these Latin American countries. I could have put another one there, Argentina. It would show a different picture altogether. Very high repo rate. And the reason is they have got very high inflation. Looking at South Africa itself, that for those who had mortgages in 1998, if you would still remember, the repo rate was 20-something%. Prime rate hit 25.5% in 1998. And the comparison was not hard to find. Inflation was volatile, the currency was volatile. There was no anchor. The decisions production of inflation targeting rate in 2000 was to introduce that framework. Let's look at the picture. Since 2000, interest rates have been less volatile, growth had been less volatile, inflation has been less volatile. And every time we experienced a shock and inflation goes up, it peaks at a level that is lower than what we have seen in the past, and interest rates peak at a level that is lower than in the past. And so, when COVID hit us, it found that we had monetary policy space. The response of different countries was to respond through both fiscal and monetary policy. Fiscal in South Africa couldn't do much because there was no fiscal space. But monetary policy had the space, and we deployed that. We cut the repo rate from 7% all the way to 3.5%. We could provide that stimulus. And when inflation started to rise in 2021, we had to start acting, or else inflation would have run higher and interest rates would have had to pick up higher. We started adjusting the policy rate in November 2021. And again, the benefits are not hard to find. Monetary policy did tighten, interest rates did go up, but we peaked at 8.25%. And surprise, inflation has come down. It is now closer to target. That provides us the space to provide the necessary support to the economy, or to withdraw the extent of restrictiveness, because half the battle has been won. We have brought down inflation, and because we have brought down inflation, we can bring down interest rates. So, interest rates are a tool to assist us to achieve the stability of the currency, because that is what the Constitution asks of us. And so, interest rates stimulate the private sector, and so the financial sector is making a lot of money because interest rates are so high. No, and on the contrary, the financial sector makes a lot of profit when interest rates are low, because what drives their profitability is the lending businesses. They must lend money, and if interest rates are high, they are not able to bring in a lot of people into the lending business. What happens? Because other households can no longer afford, they are foreclosed, businesses close down, or they can no longer access credit because credit is so expensive. So it is not that the Reserve Bank is keeping interest rates high to make the financial sector profitable. If anyone watched any CEO of the bank talking about their results in the past few weeks, they all wish that interest rates come down. So the notion that we are increasing rates to favor the financial sector is wrong. So, and then there are the questions about mandates, and you are legislators. If anybody thinks that they can bring